Welcome to the Functional Aesthetician, a podcast where skin health meets whole body wellness. I'm Samantha Dench, a licensed esthetician, owner of Skin Deep Aesthetics, author, and a doctor of functional medicine. My mission is to help you see the bigger picture because healthy skin starts from within. In each episode, we'll explore the gut-skin axis, hormones, nutrition, skincare, and wellness tools you can use to transform your skin. Welcome to the Functional Aesthetician Podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Dench. Today's special guest is Sabrina Hall, a holistic health coach and alternative health practitioner. We are going to talk about healing your skin and body issues, starting with the nervous system. Before we get to today's interview, let me introduce Sabrina. Sabrina Hall is a holistic health coach and alternative healthcare practitioner with a BSc and MSc in biology and advanced training in natural healing modalities. Alongside her coaching work, she works in person with women as a lymphatic drainage massage therapist, registered reflexologist, and Usui Reiki master teacher. Through years of hands-on clinical experience, Sabrina has witnessed firsthand how deeply interconnected the body, nervous system, emotional health, and sense of safety truly are, and how powerful healing can be when we move beyond symptom management to support the whole person, body, mind, emotional body, and spirit. Her journey into this work was shaped by her own experience with inflammatory and autoimmune conditions, including eczema, IBS, celiac disease, fibrocystic breast disease, and lymphatic congestion. That lived experience combined with her scientific background led her to develop a truly whole systems approach for healing. Hi, Sabrina. Welcome to the Functional Aesthetician Podcast.
Hi, Samantha. Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm excited for you to be here and for our conversation today.
Excellent. So am I. I've been looking forward to this one.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself and share a little background of how you got started and how you got to where you are today.
All right. Good question. My story starts long ago. When I was 9 years old, I attended the National Ballet School of Canada in Toronto. And I lived there for 4 years. Wow. And I would go home for a day on the weekend. And so my nervous system initially got stuck in this kind of like chronic stress response really early on because it was an environment that was a lot of pressure. And I, was disciplined and going after this perfectionist kind of ideal and really just, having to be very independent, mature very quickly, all of that sort of stuff. So fast forward into my teenage years, and I already had some little gut stuff when I was young, and definitely eczema. Eczema patches would kind of like pop up all over the place with me at different times. But then in my teens, especially my late teens, my gut just became an absolute mess.
Wow.
And my body was just trying to hold it all together, and giving me little signs and symptoms along the way that I just wasn't listening to at all. Yeah. I didn't have the maturity at that point to listen. And so I just kind of went on being this like super self-sacrificing, high achieving, A-type personality, like go, go, go all the time. I'm going to do everything for everybody and forget to take care of myself. I didn't realize that at that time, right?
Right.
But on hindsight, that's exactly what was going on. Mm-hmm. And by the time I was in my 20s, I had multiple autoimmune conditions on the go, and my gut was a mess. Later to be determined that it was celiac. My eczema was crazy at that point. I had it all over my hands. They were like cracking, bleeding all the time. I was the person that, couldn't do dishes without having the gloves on and all of the rest of it. And I would get patches around my eyes, kind of in that like sensitive skin above and below the eyes.
Okay.
And patches that would pop out all over my body as well. So I decided to start taking my health into my own hands, because every time I went to a doctor, it was just, oh, put this on it, like, oh, try this prescription cream, or, this topical, whatever. And they would work for a tiny bit of time. But then, of course, they would stop working, right? When ultimately it was my stress condition, right? That was leading and driving the whole thing, driving the inflammation behind it. And so I got to a point where I just was kind of crumbling in my life. I didn't realize at the time that I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. 2 young kids, holding it all together, being super busy, had an awesome husband supporting me too. But it just was, I was taking on the world, and losing. I went to a regularly scheduled appointment with my naturopath, and she asked me how I was, and the floodgates opened, and I just cried for an hour. And she set me off in the right direction. She gave me something to think about, why I was putting everything ahead of myself and never nurturing or paying attention to my own needs. And that started a huge trajectory change that just cascaded into me quitting my job. I was working in management at the time and climbing the corporate ladder. Fully shifted. I went from that to enrolling to become a certified aromatherapist. And then I got really interested in lymphatic drainage massage. So I'm a therapist for that as well, a reflexologist, a Reiki master, and working with women for 8-9 years in person, one-on-one. I really wanted to start having more of an impact across a greater group of women, a wider range. And that's what ultimately led me to the world of online coaching and working with groups of women that are suffering from the same condition. So eczema and psoriasis sufferers.
I love that. And it's so true what you just said about women always putting ourselves last. Like, I think I know most women do it, but I feel like those like overachiever women, especially, were the ones that, we feel like, I have to do it all. There's nobody else that can do it better than me.
Exactly. Yeah. And we do ourselves a disservice by continuing to think that way. And a big part of my program actually is starting to look at some of those limiting beliefs, the patterns that are keeping you stuck, the mindset that has you thinking that you're the one that has to do it all and that everything will fall apart without you. Because they do keep our nervous system stuck in that stress response, which drives so many things.
Let's talk about limiting beliefs, because I feel like, we all have them, but we don't even recognize them.
Yes, I know, right? Yeah. My healing journey took me a while to kind of figure out what my issues were.
Okay.
And for me, it was very much control. The control has been an aspect my entire life, right? And my healing journey really led me to this idea of just trust and allowing yourself relaxation and to just kind of move through things instead of fighting against the current. I think so many of us are thinking that, well, if I don't do this, then who will? Right. And for a lot of those things, I think it's really important to look at, well, how important is that thing? Is the world going to end if you don't do it, right? Or if you aren't the one that's supplying that in your life, in your role kind of thing. We do have so many limiting beliefs that tie into our behavior patterns, right? And so if you can allow yourself the time and space to look with gentle curiosity at, and like no judgment. That's a really, really big part of it, I think, too, of just not judging yourself for, well, okay, I grew up in this type of environment, right? I grew up in this society. I grew up in this culture where certain things are believed throughout the collective, right? Of certain emotions are okay to show, and other emotions, we just don't deal with those in a public setting, right? Or some things make people really uncomfortable, so don't show that side of yourself. So that shapes us over our lifetimes into these people-pleasing fixers, people who like to control situations and outcomes. And that was very much me. Like I said, we do ourselves a disservice by staying stuck in them, because the more that we stay stuck, the more we just repeat those things over and over again. They turn into cyclical patterns, and our life will continue, the universe will continue to bring things into our lives to test whether we still want to be stuck in those. They give us choice points, really, where you can make the choice to continue to stay stuck in that loop, repeating the same things over and over again and experiencing the same suffering kind of over and over. Or at that choice point, you can choose to take that risk, however large or small it is, or however large or small it feels to you, right? To take that chance and do things a little bit differently, right? And give yourself, like I said, the time, the grace, the non-judgment to just look at it and be like, okay, well, why do I believe this? And what if I chose to believe differently? You know, like, where might that take me instead?
I love that. It's so true, though. And I'm listening to you. I'm guilty of all of the above.
Yes, I know. And like, none of this is about perfection either.
No.
Right? You know, like I lived, oh my gosh, I've lived the majority of my life in perfectionist mindset.
Right.
And it's a really hard place to live.
Yeah.
But recognizing too, like, our human experience is a journey, right? We're here to learn. We're here to experience. And we're going to continue having things that we're working on our whole entire lives. Like, that's kind of the point of it, right? And so even when you have chosen to do big parts of healing on yourself, and you're like, whoa, I see this part of myself. You know, I'm looking at my shadows and I'm moving through them and I'm integrating all of this good stuff. It still comes up.
And I think that discourages a lot of people too, because, and I'm guilty of this as well. It's like, you think you're on a good trajectory, and then all of a sudden, like, something comes out of left field and you're back to the old habits.
Yes.
And then you start beating yourself up, and then you're like, okay, forget it. Why did I try?
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. And likely at that point, you're like just on the cusp of like cracking through and moving into that new version of yourself. Yeah. And you know, it is, some of it's hard. Some of it's really hard. I'm so glad that these days we have so many different types of like health practitioners and support that can help move us through these things in different ways, right? We've come from a time of really just looking at the body from like a medical perspective, and that's it, right? Like, something's wrong with you, let's fix it. Right. With either surgery or a pill or something, right? Or we had, you know, like, okay, well, something's obviously wrong with your mind, so go see a talk therapist. And having only those two perspectives, well, it limited us a lot, right?
For sure.
And we would never want to get rid of those things. All of these other avenues now to look at, right? Because some talk therapy is wonderful, right? But then you hit a point where you're like, okay, the rest of this is stored in my body. It's stored in my experience. And talking about it isn't going to help me. Like, I need to get it out some other way. Just like I would never want the medical system to go away for acute injuries, right?
Exactly.
Like, I break my leg, I'm not going to do Reiki on it. You know, like, get me to a hospital.
I know. Reiki can only go so far. Exactly. Let's shift gears, because I know this is part of the reason why I wanted to have you on here, is talking about chronic nervous system dysregulation and systemic inflammation that's causing so many of these unrelated health conditions.
Taking us back into my story then. So I can tell you like what was going on physiologically, right? So when your body experiences stress, our bodies have been the same for thousands and thousands of years, right? And our nervous system and our stress response have not really changed at all. So we used to have the stresses of, you know, actual survival things going on, right? Like I have to defend my village against an incoming fire, like let's mobilize and get out of here. Or there's a wolf that's stalking us, like either like hide or go away, run away kind of thing. But these days, stress comes in so many different forms, and it is like persistent throughout our entire life. So we have, like all of the struggles with, like money, paying bills. Am I happy in my job? Like, am I feeling fulfilled, or am I just going to this thing that gets me paid every single day? Our relationships are strained a lot of times, like, are you happy with your partner? Are your kids driving you nuts? Do they have some needs that you're not able to fulfill? There's so many things that come into our life as stress.
Right.
And we also have good stresses, right? Where physiologically our body kind of reacts the same way to a good stress. Maybe, like maybe your daughter's getting married or they've graduated, like all these good things. But when we go into a stress response, the body gets ready in a very specific way and the nervous system gets ready. And so when we are pushed into the side of our autonomic nervous system called the sympathetic response, our body is prepared to fight or flee from something, or freeze or fawn. There's lots of things associated with it now. But anyways, the body, the big muscle groups get ready and primed, right? To be able to like attack or run, do whatever it needs to do. Our heart and lungs, same thing. They are ready to deliver oxygen and nutrients and take away that carbon dioxide super quick. And then our brain switches into more of like a black and white decision-making center, right? Safe, go. That is all it needs to do, right? And so when your body is ready and prepared to do all of these things, your adrenal glands are also pumping out tons of cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, like hormones and compounds that you need to do the thing you need to do. And your body puts the rest of your system into hibernation mode, if you want to think of us like a computer. And so all of those other core systems in our abdomen pretty much are put to sleep. Our digestive system gets really sluggish and slow. You don't need to be digesting your lunch while you're running away from the lion. Your elimination pathways are shut down. Your lymphatic system is not working. You're not worried about detoxification. Your immune response is very lulled. You don't need to go pee. You don't have to stop to pee when you're running away from the lion. Your hormones are shut off, like hormone stuff, your endocrine system. It's just like, why would we think about reproduction when we're in this state? The more and more we spend in that sympathetic response, all of these things are happening, right? Because we're pumping out so much cortisol, adrenaline, all of those compounds that are getting us primed and ready, those turn into inflammatory compounds. And so our body, instead of shifting back and forth between the sympathetic response and our parasympathetic response, which is the rest and digest or rest and heal response, where all of those systems come back online, we digest well, we eliminate well, we detoxify our bodies, and our hormones are all functioning. We're not switching back and forth between those. And so when we are chronically in our sympathetic response, then we are chronically also turning the inflammation switch on. And so inflammation is much the same way as the nervous system, right? We're supposed to be like in any given day, switching back and forth between, okay, I'm actively doing something right now, like we're recording a podcast. I am in my sympathetic response, active, go. But then I should be able to flip back afterwards to be like, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. I'm in my parasympathetic, I'm relaxing now. And your body should switch back and forth between that all day long. Same with the inflammation response. So acute inflammation is life-saving. We don't want to be without that response. That is you cut yourself, you injure yourself, you're sick, right? The body mounts its response. It sends all the cells there. It creates localized fevers to burn away the viruses or bacteria. And it sends all of the healing requirements to that site. The problem is, in a chronic stress response, your inflammation switch has been left on.
Yeah.
And
So it stays.
It stays, exactly.
Right.
And you literally have this like low grade, which turns into a high grade fire kind of thing in your system all the time. And that is driving so many conditions that we see these days, right? Like eczema and psoriasis for sure, right? They are inflammatory skin conditions. And so that's what's going on behind the scenes, right? Maybe you've got a decade, 20, 30 years of living chronically stressed, and inflammation has just been like pouring out through your body. None of your systems that are in that sleep mode are capable of handling all of the backlog of inflammatory compounds that are there. And so your skin becomes that backup secondary detox pathway. And that's why we see all of these literally fires coming out through people's bodies in through their skin.
I'm an esthetician, so you're speaking my language. That's what made me become a functional medicine practitioner, because I always knew, and I learned it from healing my own gut, but everybody that would come in with skin conditions, I'm like, you have to heal your gut. You have to like work on the internal part. Your skin is telling you something. It's trying to communicate with you. So
yes, exactly. And when I first met you, I found your combination of certifications so fascinating, right? Because you literally took your life experience and what you had been seeing for so long and was like, all right, I need to back this up with something that's going to get me what I need to be able to work with these women and heal what's truly going on.
It's been wonderful. I love it. You touched on something that our body's like sending us signals of inflammation. So I mean, they're basically messengers like, hello, there's something wrong inside. We see it on our skin, or we might even feel it in the body. And we blow those little mini symptoms like headaches, joint pain, muscle aches, stuff like that. How does the body try to get us to listen?
Yes. I've always used as a tenet of my work this one saying that symptoms are sacred messengers that our body is sending us, trying to tell us to like look deeper in what's actually going on. We've all done it. We've all ignored all of the little things, right? Our bodies are super intelligent and they are constantly seeking homeostasis. They want to be in balance. They want to be fully healed and working optimally. They are sending us these little signals to say, like, hey, something is slightly askew, right? And so the headache, the little things that start happening, like, oh, I've got this little ache in my hip bone that keeps popping up, like, I wonder what's going on with that. And then we're like, oh, well, life's too busy. I'm going to take the Tylenol, and just like push past it. And then months later, the one Tylenol doesn't do the job anymore, right? Maybe we need to take two, or maybe we're seeing our doctor because we're like, hey, something's really going on with my hip. And we get into this cycle of pushing it down and moving on to the next most important thing, right? Instead of honoring that we are like, we're literally a soul residing in this intelligent body. Right. Some people refer to us as, like emotional, energetic beings living in a meat sack, but we have to give our meat sack way more, because it is super intelligent. And what we talked about with homeostasis, right? Like everything in the body works within very, very tight, restrictive, a balanced system. And so, you can talk about like our blood pressure or our internal temperature, right? There's multiple systems in our body that are constantly, being like, oh, well, we've gone down by 0.1 degrees Celsius, right? Like time to move it up, and we're always shifting and trying to find like that perfect thing right in between these two goalposts that are very tightly together. When we're trying to achieve those homeostatic balances, what we think are whispers is how it starts, right? It's the headache.
Absolutely.
It's the tiny patch of eczema that pops up between your two fingers, right? That you're like, oh, that's itchy. Why is that there?
That's annoying.
It is, exactly. Yeah. That's annoying. What can I put on it kind of thing? And it's when the symptoms and the messengers start turning into screams that most people are listening at that point, right? they've ignored the whispers or tried to just move along in their life without having to address them.
Yeah.
And then we're having to deal with things at that scream stage where so many systems are out of balance, and like, I let myself totally get to that point. I've got fibrocystic breast disease. I had Raynaud's syndrome where my 2 fingers of both hands would go completely white, circulatory stuff that was just like, for like an hour at a time, I'd have ice blocks for fingers. And IBS that was celiac, eczema, lymphatic congestion, like I had all of it, candida overgrowth, my God. And to go through like 15, 20 years of your life, just being like, what am I going to do about this? Okay. What pill can I throw at it? What cleanse can I throw at it? What, all of
what
the
quick
things.
fix.
What quick fix. Exactly. Yep. Right. I took myself from possibly being able to do quick fixes if I had listened at that stage and slowed down and given myself the actual time to like rest and recuperate and hear what my body was trying to say. But no, I let it go on for so long, like most people do, right? So then you're dealing with this compounded, lots of systems out of balance kind of thing that takes time, right? A lot of people we are looking for the quick fix, and it can't be a quick fix. If you have lived with a condition for years, decades kind of thing, you can't expect to fix that within 2 or 3 weeks. The foundational work that needs to happen to really heal the systems inside that have gone awry will take longer than that. And that's not what our society is built on.
And that suppressing of symptoms, that's the root cause of illness.
It is. We could have a much healthier overall population if we really looked more at how to support the body from an earlier stage, like all of these complementary kind of medicine things of, like honor yourself. You feel like you need to take a day off, take a day off. You feel like you need to go and get some nourishing body work done. Go get the massage. There doesn't have to be a reason. You don't have to have something hurting, in order to go and do that for yourself. Like taking care of ourselves has become this like, nobody knows how to take care of themselves fully or what they actually need.
There's also a stigma. Like you said, take a day off or go get a massage. It almost feels like we can't take a day off because then you're going to pay for it. Or who do you think you are trying to take a day off? Or you're selfish by going to get a massage.
Totally. Yeah. And that feeling of being selfish is a huge one that I talk about all the time with the women who are in my eczema and psoriasis recovery system. Because in the beginning, we are doing nervous system, like foundational work. We're doing retraining work. And a lot of stuff comes up for them at that point, right? As we identify all the different stressors in their body and how that might be leading to inflammatory processes kind of lighting up throughout. Then we get into some of the deeper work, right? Of like, okay, well, why is your skin flaming up in this particular area of your body? What might that body part be trying to tell you about your life, about how you go about living in your life? And selfish comes up a lot, that word, of like, how can I take care of myself when I have all of these other things to do that are my responsibility? And it is that analogy that so many people bring up, right? Of like, you're on the airplane and the oxygen masks pop out. You put your own on first before you help other people, because you're busy putting oxygen masks on everyone else in your life and you're slowly starving yourself of oxygen, which is what's going on right now. I did it for so many years. I put oxygen masks on everyone else in my life and I was close to dying.
I love that analogy. I use that all the time.
I know, eh? It's so, because everybody's so familiar with it. Yeah. It makes total sense.
It does. And I always think on the plane, I got to take care of the kids.
Yes, I know.
It's your first automatic. What about my kids?
So if you take anything away today, put your oxygen mask first. And take care of yourself. Yeah, that selfish thing, it does come up a lot, and it's a hard one to navigate through. There's a lot of feelings that come up that are associated with deep healing, right? Because we are trying to get to the root of what's going on. And I'm just really grateful that I've moved into this space of helping women with a consolidated like framework to work through and have coaching available to them. The support that comes with coaching is really incredible. And if you haven't experienced it before, I wouldn't have necessarily thought it's as powerful as it is until I experienced it myself. I started working with a business coach a couple of years ago, and she literally changed the trajectory of my life and also my confidence in myself. You know, like a coach is someone who meets you where you are and stands beside you, right? Doesn't necessarily like tell you how to do all of the things. It's just very much like, I'm your cheerleader. You know, I'm here. I've done this. I've walked this road, and I know some parts of it are really hard. How can I help?
I love that. And I do want you to talk about your program, because I feel like a lot of people have certain symptoms, or they think you're either going to go to a convention doctor, or you're going to try to do a detox, or try to figure out like something, you know, some kind of supplement or something you could do on your own, but they don't realize that there's that whole nervous system healing component, which is what I love about your program.
Yes. Thank you. The program itself it's a 12-week program, and I had trouble actually making it that short because what I knew of my own journey, right? Because I've gone through all of the trial and erroring and the Googling and the trying to figure it all out myself. It had been something that had been growing inside of me for so many years. I didn't realize how many years until finally I was like building it. And it was just like a river coming out of me, right? Of like all of this life experience that I built through going through my own healing process, and really looking back at it through the lens of what needed to happen first. If I could have sped this up for myself, should I have started with, you know, like what's the really good foundation to start with? And I landed on nervous system. It truly is the magic space where if you can figure out how to fill your toolkit with different calming ritual, different strategies that you have that you know can take you from, okay, I'm starting to freak out, the stress like roller coaster is about to hit its peak, to bring yourself down a couple notches, you're already winning. If we can get those tools to people early on in the process, then they can continue to use those as foundational skills as we start doing the deeper work. And so like I said, I focus on nervous system first as my approach. And we get a couple of weeks for sure, just on, you know, like what are the limiting beliefs, the mindset stuff, the stress and inflammation triggers, all of that normal things, how to support your skin right now while you're in the beginning of it. And then we move into what are all of the other systems that need attention now. We have one day halfway through as well, where I take the week to have them actually structure and design their own, like choose your own adventure, take care of yourself day, like a stress care package day. The women who've been in the program have had a really tough time with it, right? I give like tons of guidelines of make sure you've got all of the people in your life that need to know which day you're taking off, and support yourself, and make sure everybody's taking care of their own needs, and then schedule all the things that you want to do, right? Like go for the massage, that sort of thing. And that's when the words like selfish come up and all of it, greedy. And, but then we move into gut, because gut is huge, as you know. Yeah. The gut is typically a mess, right? Like when it's been in off mode or sleep mode for so long, the microbiome is usually very out of balance. It's like an ecosystem, right, of all of these bacteria and viruses, fungus, other microorganisms that work together. And when the stress response has been like tamping down on that, you have other invasive species in there that take advantage. They're like, oh, the good ones have gone to sleep.
Yes.
It's time to play, right? And so you have the candida overgrowths, the different funguses, like all sorts of stuff going on in there. And so you've got this massive dysbiosis, and then often leaky gut as well, because we have these large protein compounds and different inflammatory compounds that are trying to be digested, and the stomach and intestines don't have the capacity to do it anymore. And they're kind of breaking down a little bit. And so we have these huge molecules that are passing through the gut barrier into general circulation and driving even more inflammation.
Yeah. So not to mention the nervous system.
Yeah, exactly. So we work on the gut for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm a lymphatic massage therapist. So detoxification to me and like supporting that process is super, super important. It was a huge part of my healing process. But I don't do that until near the end, because you can't detox a body that's not ready to be detoxed, right? You have to have some sense of like calm and safety in there first, and have done a little bit of the repair work that's necessary to fully support a good detox system kind of running. Yeah. So we do that. We do immune system stuff, especially with psoriasis. There's autoimmune components to it as well. So I go deep into the immune system and how to support that. And and we work, with circadian resets and stuff like that even too, because I very firmly believe in the beautiful sunshine that is here to support our health. Like it is a foundational piece, and we're so afraid of the sun. I know. We are so afraid of the sun. And yes, be afraid of the sun in the middle of the day when it's at its highest point and can burn your skin. But otherwise, get out in the natural light. It can do so much for so many different conditions, including first and foremost, your nervous system. Go outside, get your feet on the ground, ground yourself, and take a couple of deep breaths. There's one like amazing nervous system relaxation thing that you can just do many times every day.
I love that. Sabrina, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with before we close today?
I think that really the program that I'm offering, if you're interested in learning more, I keep it to small groups, each cohort of women that I work with, because I like to give them my undivided attention. We work each week. Like I work with them every week. We have a coaching and accountability call. They get some private one-on-ones as well to go through some of the deeper stuff together, not in a public setting. And we have, like a closed Facebook community where it's amazing to see all of these women connecting with each other and realizing that they're not alone. That's a huge piece of it, right? Like there are supports out there for you, and there are things that you can do that can make a difference. So many of these conditions we're told are life sentences, and they're not. They really aren't. We can reduce so much of the suffering that we have by following an approach that is structured and supported.
I love it. Sabrina, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening. Today we had on our special guest, Sabrina Hall. We were talking about how to heal your skin and your body, starting with the nervous system. We talked about paying attention to signals and signs, limiting beliefs, and why women feel like we have to do it all, and why we feel guilty when we're asked to do self-care. Please check the show notes to connect with Sabrina. And always remember, you deserve to love the skin you're in. As estheticians, we have such a unique opportunity to not only care for the skin on the surface, but to guide our clients towards deeper wellness. If this episode gave you something to think about, share it with me on Instagram @SkinDeepIL. I look forward to connecting with you there. And if you enjoyed this conversation, subscribing and reviewing the podcast helps others find these conversations too. And always remember, you deserve to love the skin you're in.